What's good, everyone? It's Zigzag here. Welcome back to another GeoGuessr video. Good to have you along on the channel today. We're going to be playing some A-Balanced Australia today and going for the highest state streak we can. If you've never watched me play this map before, you're in for a treat because it's one of my strongest ones without a doubt. And I'm going to be teaching you guys a lot of techniques throughout the video. And yeah, it's just going to be a good time because I can normally get pretty close when we're playing Australia. And so this one, we've got like a very Western Australian soil color. It's kind of orangey brown, but it's very lush and like kind of green. So we're going to be somewhere south of Perth when you see this kind of landscape, and I would say somewhere in these forests around here, right down south in the south of the state. So yep, we were there. Very nice indeed. Good start to the video. This one's a little bit more tough. I actually think we might be in Queensland here. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just one of those rounds where you just kind of have to learn the landscape, and I'm pretty sure we're somewhere around here. Yeah, nice. Okay, so it gets deceptively green that far inland sometimes in Queensland. This one, I am thinking somewhere in New South Wales for this. The road, though, is kind of going east to west. So this kind of reminds me of this certain Google coverage that runs up along here. And I'm thinking, because it's quite hilly, that we should be somewhere on the New South Wales side. But yeah, I am a little bit concerned because a lot of these roads go north to south. So it could be Victoria here. As it stands, this number plate may have a bit of blue on it. But it kind of, yeah, I don't know. This could easily be Victoria, to be honest. But I'm going to go for New South Wales here, and it ends up being correct. So, yeah, we'll take that, definitely. Next one, we got another yellow plate here. So this one should be somewhere in New South Wales, I imagine. Also, this sign has no white border, which is quite common for New South Wales and not for other states. So, yeah, I think we can actually go pretty quickly here. Gonna go near Coffs Harbour. Ends up being a nice guess. Kales Harbour would be proud. This one will be somewhere in South Australia. Before we turn around, we might see a Google car. Oh, no, we don't see any unique Google car here, but I'm pretty sure with this landscape, I'm also thinking of Tasmania. No, maybe I am thinking more of Tasmania now. There's definitely a place in South Australia around the Flinders Ranges that looks a lot like this, but because we don't have any unique Google car, I am thinking that Tasmania might be more likely here. It's relatively flat. Why am I actually so confused by this? I think it is Tasmania. I don't think these trees are particularly familiar to me, so I think I will go for just the center of Tas here, and it ends up being correct. Nice. Okay, so that was a 20k and a pretty solid start to the video. So the record currently sits at 68. So that is the score to beat today. And we have a medal poll here, so this one will be somewhere in Northern Territory. But yeah, 68 is the score to beat by Dennis. We can't keep letting the Germans have our Australian world records. We must do something about it. So that's what I'm kind of here to do. We've got these medal polls again here. So this one should just be somewhere Darwin area, I assume. Actually, all the way down here in Pine Creek, interestingly. Small town there. There's nothing really major in the whole of Northern Territory apart from Darwin and Alice Springs, and even they're both small towns, really. Okay, this one's interesting. I think it's South Australia based on the kind of white dirt on the side of the road here. But I could see Victoria too. I could certainly see Victoria or even southern New South Wales. Okay, so, yeah, so this bollard has like a black line through it, which you often do see sometimes in South Australia, but yeah, I'm actually not so confident on this one. It's definitely a bit of a harder round, without a doubt. I'm looking for any like South Australian property markers or anything like that. By the way, if you do want to improve a lot of Australia, I have a definitive Australian guide where I have all the different clues I know inside. So definitely worth watching if you are curious. But yeah, okay, this is hard. I actually may be leaning more Victoria here just after looking at the trees. They don't feel too familiar to me, so I think I will actually go Victoria. It doesn't kind of look South Australian, and it is nice, right near Seymour there, a town I've been to many times. Okay, next one. This one should be somewhere in Victoria again. This pole with the two coils like this is quite Victorian looking. In fact, should be actually exclusive. And with this ocean angle, this should be quite gettable for a 5k or something if I wanted to. I'm thinking it's somewhere around here. Maybe not Apollo Bay, but somewhere around there. So let's just go for it. It ends up being near there indeed. Okay, next one here. This one should be somewhere in New South Wales or Queensland with this type of double pole green field sign. Let's take a look at what we got in the background here. Bollards with the short red reflector may feel more Queensland here. This one, yeah, also feels maybe more Queensland, I would say. Okay, green pole there also fits for Queensland. Quite a dry landscape, so we have to be fairly inland here, I would say. But yeah, feeling good about Queensland here. And it was in Queensland, in Gladstone. Okay, so another 19k. Pretty solid there. Just chugging along here. So we are already a 7th of the way there, which is good, which is good. I feel like I could do it today. It's not, we have not had easy rounds so far either, so we've overcome some 50-50s. This light is quite Victorian, this lamppost here. We don't have a Stobie pole, so it shouldn't be South Australia. So I am thinking that Victoria is a good shout here. Yeah, still enjoying Victoria the more I look at it. It could be like Albury just over the border here. I can see that. Anyway, let's take a look at the bin. Bin doesn't help us. Okay, so final thoughts here. I could see this, the problem is I think there's just too many places near Melbourne that look the most like this. Sydney feels a bit less likely to me. Yeah, it just feels like cold climate grass here, so that is ultimately what it's going to come down to for me, and this lamp as well. But I could see it being New South Wales as well, so why don't we just go Wodonga in case it is just over the border, and it wasn't. This is probably where I would have guessed if I was going for the highest score. Okay, so next one here, is that a yellow plate? It may be. As for the rest of the round, it looks like it could be New South Wales, so I don't hate that, to be honest. See if we can see any other yellow plates. This kind of does feel like northeast New South Wales. Okay, so not actually too much in the way of clues on this one, apart from the climate. Of course, when you see around like this, Queensland is always possible. Always possible to be Queensland here. Just something about the whole round, plus this conspicuous number plate here, did make me think more of Queensland, I must say. I mean, of New South Wales. This yellow triangle, though, is a little concerning. It is a little concerning. Okay, so over there, unfortunately, again, not visible. That's rather unfortunate. Like, the fact that we can't see any cars here is kind of unlucky, in my opinion. But, yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so, yeah, it's an interesting round. I could certainly see Queensland here. But I still think my heart is leaning towards New South Wales. So, yeah, a lot of the architecture doesn't feel Queensland. We don't see any stilts houses, which you often see in Queensland, and we don't see anything that's kind of like 2 stories either, which is more common in Queensland. So I'm going to go Grafton here, and it was just in Casino, so right on the border there. A good call, because it certainly looked quite Queensland-like. Next one here, okay. This pole's a Victorian pole, which is good because I think I may have tried to go New South Wales otherwise, but yeah, this is the one with the 2 coils on the side, so we can probably just guess on the border here. And it was all the way down near Warrnambool, surprisingly. Okay, so not my best guess, but we'll take it. Okay, here we have South Australian poles. These are... This could even be Kangaroo Island, actually. I was kind of wondering if it might say KI there. It doesn't. But I could see Kangaroo Island here. You know what? I don't quite have what it takes to go Kangaroo Island around like this. It feels a bit too vast, so I'm going to go here. Ends up being Orroroo. So, yep, good call that wasn't. Okay, next one here, yellow plates galore, so it should be somewhere in New South Wales. Thick pole as well is also fairly common in New South Wales as well. But yeah, with this number of yellow plates, I don't think there's any possibility we're wrong, unless we were in Wodonga or something like that right on the border. But yeah, I'm just going to guess somewhere here in the south of the state. Let's go on Yass. I don't think it's actually there, but it ends up being in Wagga. Nice. Okay, so a fairly poor score, all things considered, but we got the state every time, and so we're still alive and still kicking, and I'm happy with how I'm playing, to be honest, so let's just see how long we can take it here. This one we have flat curbs, and we have what appears to be a Western Australian, like, kind of setup for a lot of these posts and whatnot. So do we see any, like, actual signpost that's painted yellow? That would be the absolute confirmation. Yep, here it is, painted yellow, so we should be somewhere in Western Australia here. We're correct. Okay, so normally on Australia's very nice. It has a lot of, like, unique metas, and so if you learn them, then you're really laughing. For example, these, like, street posts are only found in Darwin. These, like, kind of, like, ones that kind of go out each direction. I mean, you kind of have to know exactly what they look like so you don't make a silly mistake, but yeah, that's Darwin. Once you know them, they're very good. Okay, next one here. We got yellow plates again, so feeling like Sydney this time, if I'm honest. Yep, this feels like Sydney. I wouldn't put it past it just being around here, and it was nice. Southern suburbs there, South Beaches. Here we have what looked to be South Australia off the bat. Is that a Stobie pole? Yep, it's a Stobie pole. Nice. And so it almost reminded me of, where are we? Okay, Waikery. Okay, we're somewhere in the Riverland over here. Always nice to have street signs like that. Gets you 27 kilometers away. Okay, so we're almost up to 20 here, which is respectable. 20 is definitely respectable. I think this is Victoria, just based on the landscape. We've got kind of like a fogginess on the camera here, and it's also very green on the side of the road. Very much feels like Victorian coverage to me. Yeah, and that looks like it probably is a Victorian pole, although I couldn't be sure here. And so I think I'm going to go somewhere down here, and I think it's going to be correct. It is. Very nice. So that was a 23,000. That was more like what we want to see. I still think a 24 is well within our grasp, and I still think 68 is well within our grasp as well. Yeah, so next one should be somewhere in SA with the Stobie poles. This one looks kind of like southern New South Wales or Victoria. Okay, tough one. I am not too sure what I want to go for here. You know, this could be many places. The fact that we don't see the plate there is a little bit annoying, to say the least. I still think New South Wales Southern is most likely here, but this kind of like grey gravel on the side of the road is quite typical for Victoria as well. I do think we're kind of like in this region here, and I could even see it like being one of these roads that goes off like this direction or something like that, very annoyingly. Could it even be South Australia? I could not say it's definitely not South Australia, especially because we've got a little sticker on the bottom of the bollard here, which is something you do see there. I'm just trying to think where it would actually be in SA, though. It would have to be, like, all the way down here. Which, you know, is not impossible. Wow, this would be a real hero guess. I don't think with the hills in the background that it could be SA, but I guess it's not impossible. Okay, so one of the two. Well, it's like here or here. I'm pretty sure of it. And I'm thinking that I should go for New South Wales here. What's my first thought? Just looking every direction, I still think it's most likely, so I think that's what I'll go for here, but well prepared to be wrong. And it was actually Tasmania. Why did I not think of that? Ay. Okay, I had to do some stuff in the meantime, but let's get back to it and see if we can beat, well, it was like 20 or something like that, wasn't it? So let's go here. First one appears to be somewhere in Victoria, actually, I would say. It's kind of confusing. Oh, I got a cute pooch here. How's it going, mate? Okay. Yeah, it's actually kind of a difficult round here. Happy I'm getting this one first. I think the grass just reminded me of Victoria. Is that a Victorian bollard? I believe it is. Okay, interesting. So I assume it's going to be somewhere around here. Ends up being out the other side of Melbourne, but that's fine. Next one here, we've got the gaps on the outside of the road that we were talking about. So this one's going to be somewhere inside the Flinders Ranges National Park here. I'm not sure what part of the road this will be, but yeah, presumably somewhere around there. And there we are. Nice. So it's quite a distinctive place there. Lots of interesting looking trees. This one should be New South Wales or Victoria, I imagine. I think it's actually Victoria. Just trying to take a look around here. We've got a no stopping sign that's white. In New South Wales, they'd use a red one, so that's good to know. And yeah, I believe it has to be Victoria then. And here we have that Victorian bollard that I spotted in the first round of this streak as well. And this one will be Melbourne because it's quite a big city. And, you know, Melbourne's the only big city inside Victoria. Next one, we have some mountains here. This one looks kind of like a Queensland, New South Wales toss-up here. I do like Queensland here. I must say. Stilts House here, so yeah, pretty confident, although I do think it's going to be quite far south. And wow, 3.6 kilometers away. Can you believe that? That's a nice guess and a half. Deary me. Okay, next one here is a little more difficult though. This should be somewhere in South Australia, but we don't have the leaf. Oh, we do have the leaf in the Gen 2 lens here, so that's good. I would have guessed around here anyway, so let's see. And it ends up being, yeah, on the Riverland. So nice 22.8 to start off this next streak here. And let's just hope we get a nice clean run, because as I was saying at the end of the last one, that's really what you need. So these trees here with the red bark are looking quite Western Australian, I would say. However, we don't have yellow poles, which is a little concerning. So now it's time to look. Oh, is that a Stobie pole there? I think that's a Stobie pole. So I think we should actually be in SA, which is weird. Where are we going to be here? Like Eyre Peninsula or something, maybe. This is a strange round. I was thinking, I guess if that is a Stobie pole, as I suggested it is, where I click there might make sense. I think it is. Wow, that's really interesting. So those like red tinged bark. I'm going to stay here. While you're watching this video, I'm probably staying in around Clare right now. So there you go. But that red tinged bark is normally found in Western Australia. This one should be Northern Victoria or Southern New South Wales. One of the two. I don't really have any good metas for that yet. It actually kind of looks more like New South Wales to me. I just want to make sure that there's nothing obvious here before I kind of just make a guess. I would say this is New South Wales, actually. The grass is kind of very long. I don't know, it just feels a little bit more like this area here. And wow, I actually managed it. That's a hard round. It kind of looked very Northern Victorian, but I guess just once you've played it enough, you do start to realize. And this one is a Queensland exclusive pole. It kind of looks like the two bulbs one that Victoria has one, except it's kind of angled upwards a little bit on both of them. So this one should be somewhere around here. And of course it is, 43 kilometers away, Ipswich area, quite distinctive. Okay, here we are with that red no stopping sign. That can only be in New South Wales, never even in Canberra. So, you know, only New South Wales for that sign. And this one almost looks like Darwin or Queensland. Let's see if we got a helping sign here. Okay, not too helpful. I think it should actually be Queensland, but I'd love something exclusive. Yeah, I would love something exclusive. Yeah, these trees kind of feel a bit too normal for up north end, I would have thought, but you never know what might have got planted as well. See if we can read this. If it was Gen 4, I feel like we could read it, but no. Yellow bollard, probably more suggestive of Queensland as well, I would say. Plates don't seem awfully red as well, so yeah, I'm just trying to think. I guess this could be like Sunshine Coast or something. I really don't think it's actually Darwin, but it could be wrong. And okay, we're good. So I was actually a little bit worried there if you couldn't tell, but okay, we overcome what was actually a difficult seed, the two difficult rounds in that one. Okay, this one should be Queensland. This definitely looks more like Queensland than New South Wales, I would suggest. And we don't have a yellow plate there, so I'm feeling good about it. We can just slam it in here somewhere. Ends up being up near Mackay, that makes sense. Okay, next one here. What's that sign there? I'm not too sure. Okay, so this one's actually proving to be a little more difficult. This looks like a Queensland bus stop though, so yeah. And the mountains in the background would certainly fit for Queensland, that's for sure. So yeah, feeling pretty good. And here's that exclusive one that I was telling you guys about, so we can slam it in. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so really chugging along pretty easily here, I would say. This one, potentially difficult. Another Queensland bus stop as far as I can tell. So actually, yeah, we can just send it. The bus stops are well worth learning. They're inside my guide, and actually each state uses its own one, and it stays pretty exclusive. So the only ones you can screw up possibly are New South Wales and Queensland once you've learnt them. Otherwise, they're all pretty easy. We have some interesting peninsulas here. I wonder if I've clicked on the right spot, or does that look like the same shape? I'm not so sure. I think I'll just go where I had it. And yeah, ends up being over near Burnie there. Okay, nice. Next one here, Victorian number plates maybe. They certainly have a blue tinge to them, and it feels quite southern. And there's the Frankston number 9 or something like that. And Frankston is... so over here, yeah. So I guess we can click there. Should be relatively close here, 8.4 kilometers away. So that's another 20k. 3 Queenslands. So Queensland is often the state I fail on Queensland and New South Wales. So pretty pleased to have gotten those ones out. This one should be Queensland, speaking of. We've got cacti here, very, very common in Queensland, and especially in the south. I would say this is just somewhere over here somewhere, and yeah, we're on that highway. Nice. Okay, so that they are that. If you skip forward in the video and you want to know what happened, it's probably me failing on a Queensland or a New South Wales. That's generally speaking how it happens. Anyway, we had that kind of Western Australian dirt there. This one looks to be somewhere in Kangaroo Island almost, I would say. Yeah, okay. A little concerning though that we have this big bay. Would that make sense for anywhere in KI? If we're near Penishore here and we're looking this way. Not so sure what I think of this. Yeah, I guess there's actually not too many places that make sense here. I do think it's South Australia though, so I'm not really too worried about anywhere else. I guess it's probably just actually somewhere like this, or maybe even somewhere over here, but yeah, surely somewhere here. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, kind of a weird spot, but we can see Port Lincoln in the distance. Okay, next one, we got the gaps in the outside road again. This one feels very far south to me. You just kind of get a feel for this. I don't know how to describe it best, but I'm assuming this is going to be all the way down here. Oh wow, this one was actually, wow, American River. I've been on this road, exactly. So, kind of surprised. I should have recognized that. Anywho, not a problem. Here we are close to what? Geelong, actually. And actually, on the bottom of the sign it says Vic Roads. You can't make it out in the Gen 2, but if you're playing on like more Generation 4 type coverage, then you may actually see on the bottom of signs that it often says Vic Roads in Victoria. So obviously you can guess in Victoria when you see that. But if we're close to Apollo Bay like that, Apollo Bay, okay, we should be somewhere like this or something like that. Yeah, 51 kilometers away. Nice. Okay, so 51 meters away, mind you. That's 5,000 points. Okay, so playing rather nicely here. This one is Western Australia, very like orange soil. I like to try and guess accurately on Western Australia because there are so many points up for grabs. I would say this is fairly southern, but I could also just see it being up here as well. And so, yeah, ends up being quite southern. Not a bad guess. Next one here should be... Well, this one's a bit difficult. I would say this is more so Queensland. Now, Ronak was saying that the white Gen 4 car is more common in Queensland. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but something we could keep in mind here. But yeah, it should be New South Wales or Queensland. Maybe I prefer New South Wales here, to be honest. I don't know. This one's definitely difficult. Taking a look around, it does not feel particularly Queensland-like, you know? Kind of feels more like near Sydney. Brush plants here, but not the same ones you'd see over in Western Australia. I don't know. This is difficult. This is difficult. No antenna on the car either. That's definitely more common in Queensland as well. So there are some factors that would lead me to thinking Queensland is at least a good possibility here. Still, I am thinking more so of New South Wales. Just doesn't feel particularly tropical. I don't know if you guys also get that feeling, but that's how it's striking me. So, yep, if the streak ends here, then I will have been correct and we will lose on 21 again. Yes, I think these trees feel a bit more southern too. Although, yeah, really not too sure about that. I trust my gut here. My gut said New South Wales the whole time, and yet the meta stuff may lead more so to Queensland. You know, I think... Oh, there's a second red dot on that bollard, which is, generally speaking, thought of as a New South Wales thing in the community. I'm not really sure how reliable that is either, but I'm going to trust it on this occasion, and it ends up being correct. Right near Queensland, to be fair to Ronak, but not actually in Queensland. Okay, so next one here should be Victoria. Numbers on the bollard, I think, is a fairly Victorian thing, but okay, let's take a look at these. Yeah, okay, so I do think this is Victoria somewhere. We've got like these big ferns, kind of like what you'd see in New Zealand, which is quite common in like the Yarra Ranges kind of region here. It's Gen 2, which is a little concerning because mostly... Oh no, it's Gen 3. Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting though. This could be near Sydney. This could be near Sydney. Short reflectors there as well. This could be even Queensland, actually. Okay. Plenty to think about here, actually, now that I look around properly. I would love to see the end of this guardrail. That probably has the clue that we need. I'm still leaning Victoria, though, I think. I think that really, like, most of the coverage that looks like this is near Melbourne in some way. But unfortunately, it's kind of dark here, so it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. It looks like we have some short reflectors, which, of course, would lean you more towards Queensland or something, but I'm just not sure if I'm a believer in Queensland for this one. So then, yeah, this big fern, I don't know if I've ever seen them. You know, we're in line with New Zealand kind of latitude here. I don't know if I've seen them outside of New Zealand, so I think I might have to trust myself here and go for it. And it was just near Port Macquarie. That's a hard one. That's a hard round. Okay, so we're going to end off the video there, guys. But we had two nice streaks indeed. Those rounds are hard. Like, it's a hard one. It's like low light. Just really hard. It reminds me of that Vermont round I had before. Just tough stuff. Like when it's low light. If we were a little bit the other direction, I'm sure we could have seen some New South Wales exclusive, like yellow paint job on the end of this guardrail. Let's see if such a thing existed here. Well, it certainly did here. Let's see about in the coverage what we had in 2015 here. And so, did it exist? Yes, we would have had this, which would have definitely given us New South Wales. And that is just the unfortunate part of GeoGuessr. Sometimes you're just out of reach of those state hints, you know, just like that. So guys, thank you very much for watching the video all the way to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will get this world record back, I promise you. But until then, goodbye.